President Trump doubling down on his threat of a government shutdown if Congress does not provide funding for border security.
I would certainly be willing to close it down to get it done. As you know, we are already approving things in various bills, including we're going to be taking care of the military. We always put the military and law enforcement very high. But I would be certainly willing to consider a shutdown if we don't get proper border security.
However, one administration official says that the president has agreed to delay the fight over border security until after the midterm elections in early November. This is according to a story that's in the Wall Street Journal today. Here now, Bre Payton, a staff writer for the Federalist. Bre, how important is the border security and the wall for Republican voters this fall? And would a shutdown actually rally the base?
Yeah, I think that this speaks to a larger issue within Congress and just how dysfunctional it is. I mean, this is an entity that hasn't passed a real budget in something like 20 years. And the only time you're able to get them to pass just a continuing resolution is when there is a shutdown looming. So I think rhetorically it makes sense for Donald Trump to threaten this because this is the only time we ever see Congress actually taking things seriously and actually doing things. I also think it's not surprising that there is an administration official out there who's reportedly saying that Trump is expected to kind of soften this eventually. This is what we've seen kind of time and time again. I mean, you know, voters were promised a giant, massive wall that Mexico was going to pay for, and it was going to be just this entire wall of concrete. And, you know, now it's like, OK, we're going to get a wall in certain sections along the border. And right. So I think that there is the tough line that comes out, and then there is a bit of a softening and a realization and a willingness to be a little bit more realistic given geographic or just other political constraints that he's facing.
Kat, Tim?
Yeah, Bre, this is Kat. Hi. So what is the point then of, if he's already said he's going to do it, what do you think is the point of waiting until after the midterm elections?
Yeah, I mean, politically, I can understand why you would just want to delay that. I think that that would spur Republican voters to come out and say, OK, we've got to vote a lot of Republicans in there in order to make sure that we can get the wall that we have been wanting throughout this whole time. And I think it's also a motivator for Democrats to say, you know, let's make sure that we get our people in order to make sure that this wall, the funding for this wall doesn't happen, that it doesn't go through. So I guess I can see how this is a motivator for both sides of the issue. And I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in November.
John Hilsenrath, though, I mentioned earlier, Trump has delivered on essentially every promise that he made on the campaign trail, except for the wall funding. There was only $1.6 billion in that gigantic omnibus spending bill, which the president did sign. $1.6 billion for essentially fencing, replacement fencing for the wall, and there were no restrictions on these sanctuary cities. Congress carries the power of the purse. They didn't put anything in there to deprive those cities of funding, and the president, after signing that omnibus spending bill, he was clearly upset by that. So do you think it comes to a government shutdown, even though the Journal is reporting that there's some behind-the-scenes agreement to avoid that until after November?
I think what's going on here is that the president has lost his patience, and this reminds me a little bit of what happened in the trade fight. You know, in his first year in office, a lot of his top advisors, including Gary Cohn, tried to put off confrontations over trade, and then finally he lost his patience and he said, no, we're going to move forward with tariffs, and he did, and that's been the story of 2018. I think he's lost his patience on this question of border security and a border wall. But now, instead of people like Gary Cohn, you have people like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell say, all right, just wait until after the election, because this is a political loser for the Republican Party when they're trying to hold on to the House. So I think he is going to carry forward with the threats, but they're just trying to hold him off to make sure that they don't lose the House in the process.
Well, speaking of Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, although they some Trump supporters see them as the enemy, maybe not as much, Bre, as the Democrats. Nevertheless, it is the House largely and Mitch McConnell in the Senate that pushed through President Trump's biggest legislative win, and that's those tax cuts. And that's one of the reasons that the economy is growing north of 4% right now. That's one of the reasons that unemployment is so incredibly low, that we've got more job openings than people who are unemployed at this point. So again, if you want to run on the economy above anything and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the economy, even though it was politically difficult for them to get it done at the time, I think that is a bigger priority and a bigger win, I'm putting that in quotes, than the border wall would be necessarily for them. So I guess it kind of makes sense that was able to get done before this border wall funding was able to get done. And I think this also speaks to the larger dysfunction within the Republican Party, which is that, they haven't been recruiting individuals that are going to vote a certain way across the country. They haven't been, putting together a strong coalition that's going to vote as a bloc. And they don't use carrots and sticks. They don't throw people off of committees if they don't vote the way that they want them to. And I think that speaks to a larger problem within leadership, that they aren't willing to use the tools at their disposal in order to get things done.
Moving on to this story, Bre, ICE is alleging that the mayor of Portland violated the Constitution by supporting Abolish ICE protesters, ordering the police to stand down and failing to protect ICE employees. Do cities like Portland hurt the Democratic Party ahead of the midterms in terms of messaging?
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, listen, if you're upset about the way that ICE is handling itself, if you're upset about the policies, there's a way and a means in order to protest and speak out against it and raise media attention. I mean, individuals were upset that ICE was separating individuals coming over illegally, separating families from their parents, or separating individuals coming over together. And ICE has changed that policy. So there is a way to affect change, and it's not by confronting disabled veterans while he's reportedly going to pick up his daughter from summer camp. That's not the way to do that. And I think Portland mayor reportedly telling police to stand down and not interfere with these protesters and protect ICE federal employees, I think that's totally nuts, and reveals that many within the Democratic Party, they really just don't like the fact that we have a border. They don't like the fact that there are laws. I think it's demonstrated that the Democratic Party, many factions of it, however I should say, have jumped the shark on this issue.
Yeah, and I would just encourage all of these elected officials to go online and actually read what ICE does in terms of disrupting and breaking up, child trafficking and human trafficking. So, as if that's not a valuable, necessary task that ICE takes on each and every day, and men and women putting their lives at risk for that. Bre, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, too.
Bre Payton.